Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you are all well. You amazing, beautiful, wonderful, spectacular, sexy, flippin' amazing, terrific people on this terrific Tuesday. Yes, that's it. It's Tuesday still, and this is video two for Tuesday. I think we're going to stick at two for Tuesday. I think that's all we need today. But anyway, like I say, you're looking absolutely amazing. I'm going to get straight into the meat and potatoes because I found this quite funny. I'm horrible, I am. I see certain things that I kind of have to chuckle myself. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about yesterday. I saw a video that was over on the Inebriated Cock channel. I always get the name of that wrong. You'll have to help me. Drunk pigeon. Something. I don't know. There's this channel with this guy. I just know that he wears sunglasses inside and he believes Bryan Kohbergers is guilty as fuck. He has a guest on. He has a guest come on, and this guest is Andrew Garrett. And Andrew Garrett is a professional. When I say a professional, I mean he's a professional at talking about himself. That's one of the things he's a professional at. But he's also a professional in the field of digital data, online data, things like that. He knows a lot about a few things. And he's gone on to this show, and he's gone on to the Drunk Turkey show to mainly, I feel, talk about how he's a lot better than the FBI, which was bizarre. Also, that I don't know whether that was a Freudian slip, but Daniel calling an FBI agent retarded. I don't really know what happened there. But anyway, I was by. Point being, Andrew Garrett goes on there and he's talking about the phone data. And he's talking about the fact that Ray was right all along, basically. Ray's, like, don't get me wrong, he doesn't agree with every single thing Ray's done. He was questioned. Daniel, I have to be fair, and Daniel had spoken about this 7-minute situation where there seems to be an issue with the time that the phone goes off, and they're trying the defense are trying to lead people to believe that there is some significance there, and everybody else, obviously the guilt aside, primarily saying, well, that doesn't really matter. And Andrew Garrett did kind of support the notion that that period of time, that shift of time, is not important. Now, I would, and I'm not a professional. I have to admit, I know I look a professional because of my hat and, you know, and my thing over there. Because I've got that means I'm a professional. Okay? So when I talk about cloud-based forensics, that means that I know a bit about it. Honestly. So look, he comes forward. He's talking about this data, and I because I'm not a real professional, despite what I just said, my mentality is 7 minutes could be important because that means that there is a window of opportunity to get data. So, what data could have been collected in that 7 minutes that means that the data that came after it may be inaccurate or has to be changed? That's just my layman's brain kind of thinking. I could see why someone who was basing what they're talking about on digital data and being able to track people and look at locations and stuff like that, I would consider that 7 minutes is quite a long period of time. And I'll tell you for why, because I know that I can travel down the road. There's a restaurant down the road from me, around sort of, I don't know, 6 miles down the road. It takes me around 10 minutes to drive there if the traffic's not bad. So depending on how fast a vehicle is traveling and other sort of environmental issues, whether there's cars and, you know, whether there's traffic, whatever. But if it's this time of night, the early hours of the morning, not really anything on the road, and the car's traveling at 60 mile an hour, 70 kilometers an hour, how far is that vehicle going to travel in 7 minutes? But anyway, that's by and by. Again, I'm not a professional. I'm just saying, in my tiny little brain, I look at 7 minutes and think, well, there could be some important relevance to it because there could have been data collected in there that law enforcement trying to prosecute Bryan Kohberger don't want you to know exists. But what Andrew Garrett does say, categorically says, And that is that basically the data that law enforcement would have needed to plot Bryan Kohbergers' route, that was missing. It just wasn't there. It's not there. There is a lot more things that they need in order to be able to conclude what they were saying in the PCA. So it comes back to this, well, the PCA is now irrelevant, doesn't it? Because how can you turn around and say that a PCA is irrelevant? And I think this is, and I've spoken about this multiple times, you have to conclude that at the point that the PCA was drawn up, and for those of you who don't know what the PCA is, it's the probable cause affidavit. And that is the document that they put in to say, look, there you go. That's what we've got. And we want to arrest this guy for this crime. And that's the evidence that we've got. Now, the question comes is at the point where that PCA was drawn up and they gave it, did they fucking lie in order to arrest Bryan Kohberger for this crime? Let me know down below. Let me know down below if you truly believe that at the point the PCA was written up, did law enforcement truly have probable cause to tie Bryan Kohberger to this crime? Because subsequently, that PCA has been deemed irrelevant. Now, why has it been deemed irrelevant? Again, whether you're a guilty or an innocent person, innocent until proven guilty, down the middle or whatever, let me know down below why the probable cause affidavit has been deemed irrelevant. Why is it irrelevant? And I know that there'll be some people saying, well, we're further down the track now. They've got other information, and that is kind of, it's just part of the process that it becomes irrelevant because time moves on. But no, it's not. The PCA never becomes irrelevant because the PCA is the very document that has to be accurate in order to obtain an arrest. You can't fucking lie in it, get an arrest, and then just fill in the gaps. That is reverse engineering. The very definition of reverse engineering a case against an accused individual. And if you can't see that, then you're fucking stupid. Absolutely fucking stupid. And maybe I'm fucking stupid. Maybe I've got it wrong. But my interpretation of the probable cause affidavit is that should have everything in there that is factual. You can't just fucking lie in it. You can't draw a triangle and say, look, we know that he drew here because he's in that triangle. I've never known someone in a place to say, don't trust the triangles. Don't trust the triangles. Don't trust them. You can't trust the triangles. If they come out, I'm telling you now, if the FBI come out and they start showing you pictures of triangles, and you can't trust them. Don't trust them. Lost all credibility immediately. And how I'm going to prove that is by showing you this triangle. What? Do you know what I mean? But ultimately, I can't agree with everything Garrett says. I didn't get involved in that old Garrett discovery fucking bollocks, whatever that was earlier on. But what it does prove is that the information surrounding the movement of the car and the placement of the car and the plotting of the car was not complete in order to correctly state their case. So when Cy Ray came forward and said, you've said a load of things about the movement of this guy, and you can't do that without having this, and this. And without this, and this could be bullshit. And when you add this, and this, which is needed, it could give you a completely different outcome than what you've said. And here lieth the problem with this information. We still do not have anything apart from some blurry pictures, some real strange situation around these pictures and video footage. There is nothing that physically ties Bryan Kohberger to this crime. There is not one fucking image that I've seen and been like, yeah, definitely, white Hyundai Elantra, definitely. Haven't seen Bryan Kohberger, despite the fact that there are people around this case who have gone public and said that there is footage of Bryan Kohberger coming out of that property, not mentioning any names, Steve Gonsalves. And there just isn't. But what we do have is a PCA that seems to have lied, literally seems to have lied, that they've now deemed irrelevant. And we have a situation where we have DNA that nobody wants to take responsibility for. We still have to make up a story to explain how they got to Bryan Kohberger. So we'll await to see how they explain that then. And the DNA, the workup of the DNA doesn't exist because the people who did it, they didn't keep the workup. They didn't save it, and they likely didn't save it because they were doing something that they shouldn't have been doing in order to get the result that they needed to do what they did. When ultimately they could have just gone and swabbed Bryan Kohberger's fucking apartment door handle. I don't understand. They could have just arrested Bryan Kohberger and brought him in for questioning based on the multiple things that they claim to have known around his movements of his car, the car that he drove, yada, yada, yada. They could have just pulled him in and took his fucking DNA. And I believe that Bryan Kohberger would have likely given them his DNA. Let me know what you think. How do you think? Did you see the Drunk Turkey show? Fucking got it right. See, I can do it when I put my mind to it. It's because as I go through the video, my brain kind of, it's like a jigsaw, like a Rubik's Cube, and it eventually locks into place. Did you see it? What do you think about it? But I found it very interesting that this is now the second specialist who works around cell phone data who have come forward and basically said that the information was incomplete, and even gave examples of where this information has been used to fucking lie, and when it has come out and proven someone innocent, they have buried it. Don't shoot the messenger. And again, always vet your guests. Oh.